What if Ahsoka trained Starkiller instead of Darth Vader? Would they be able to take down the Empire? Would Vader find them both? It's a fun path that I really wanted to explore, and I thought I had a lot of fun writing it, and I did. And I hope you enjoyed listening to it just as much. I'm on vacation right now, so I might not be able to get back to all of your comments, but I'll be able to take a look at them for the most part. Either way, I had a lot of fun writing this. I think the story goes very well. Hopefully does the characters justice. So, let me know what you think in the comments. Alright, thanks for watching, have a good day, and let's get into today's story, What if Ahsoka found and trained Starkiller instead of Vader? Our story begins on Kashyyyk. Darth Vader has just landed to find a Jedi that has been spotted hiding away on this planet. This was a Jedi by the name of Kento Merrick, and the Jedi-friendly Wookiees were hiding him away. That would go on for no longer. As Vader made his way through Kashyyyk, he sliced down any Wookiees in his way, and was in the middle of an assault on the planet. These beasts were ferocious, but no match for Vader, and after a long while, Vader spotted a home with the cursed Jedi symbol on the front. He would kill this Jedi. Ahsoka Tano now, former Jedi, survivor of Order 66, had heard rumor of a Sith Lord hunting down and killing any surviving Jedi. Ahsoka had tried to ignore it and go about her life, but the call to the light, the call to help, was overwhelming, so she'd spent the last few months tracking this Sith Lord down, and today she was closer than ever. She tracked him to Kashyyyk and landed in the trees, following him from a distance. Her plan was to engage this Sith Lord once he engaged the Jedi here, catch him off guard and outnumbered. Ahsoka didn't know much about him, other than that he was clearly heartless, and now much more machine than man. The opposite of Ahsoka in every way, Ahsoka thought, and she reached an opening where she saw the Dark Lord engage a Jedi in battle. The Jedi was fighting valiantly, but it was clear that he was no match for the Dark Lord. Ahsoka began to run to the battle when the Jedi was thrown with immense force into his own home. Ahsoka, still a good distance away, had to get there now, and as she was about to make herself seen, a small being caught her eye. A child running straight for the home. Ahsoka redirected herself to get to the child, and right before the child got to the ramp of the home, she dove right into him, somersaulting into the bushes. Ahsoka made a choice to save this boy, and she listened to the Sith inside. "I sent someone much more powerful nearby. Where is your master?" the Sith said. The Jedi, choking, replied, "You killed my master years ago." Then the Dark Lord said, "Then it is time you join him," and he cut down the Jedi. Ahsoka winced, and the boy looked on in horror from the bushes. Darth Vader stared down at the body and felt into the Force. There was a powerful presence nearby. And then, Vader felt her. "Ahsoka," he said, and Ahsoka felt him. For one split second, the Sith let the being of the light side emerge. Ahsoka's eyes widened in fear. Anakin. The man Ahsoka had been hunting, the man that had killed hundreds of Jedi mercilessly, the man with no heart, the machine, the Sith Lord. It was her former master, Anakin Skywalker. Ahsoka felt the small part of Anakin disappear again, as she heard the Sith Lord ignite his lightsaber once again. Without another thought, Ahsoka grabbed the boy and they took off running. She was barely dodging trees as she wiped tears from her eyes, and surprisingly, the boy was keeping up. Ahsoka knew now that he was the son of the Jedi, and he was powerful. She couldn't just abandon him, so they ran and ran until she reached her ship. Getting inside to the controls, she took off, but in the air, the ship came to an abrupt halt. She looked out the window to see Anakin grabbing hold of the ship. Red lightsaber ignited. Ahsoka could feel his pain, his anger. Darth Vader was intent on killing any part of Anakin that remained, and one of those biggest parts was now his former Padawan. Vader kept pushing Anakin down as he brought the ship down, and right before he could crash the ship, a bowcaster bullet slammed into his shoulder. Then another grazed his back. Vader had to let go of the ship to defend against a group of Wookiees. As Ahsoka took off, she looked down again to see Vader choke and kill the group of 5 Wookiees without mercy. "I will avenge Anakin's death," and this boy will avenge his father, was her last thought before jumping into hyperspace. As Vader watched the ship disappear, his final thought was, "I will find you, and Anakin's memory will die with you." 15 years later, Ahsoka held her 2 white lightsabers close to her face, sparks flying off of them as she was stuck in a lightsaber lock. She broke it off, flipping the opposite fighter and landing with a blade at her neck. Smiling, she extinguished her lightsabers and put them on her belt. Her apprentice, Galen Merrick, did the same. Ahsoka told him their training was going very well lately, and soon they would be ready for their ultimate mission. Galen was now 20 years old, about the same age as Anakin when he died or became Vader, and through the 15 years since the day she found him on Kashyyyk, Ahsoka had done her very best to train him. Hiding someone with as much power as Galen was difficult from the start, so him and Ahsoka were always on the move, but they were helping lay the seeds of a growing rebellion. Their training had taken them to many different planets, mainly on the Outer Rim, such as Megiddo, Zagaria, Nal Hutta, Ord Cestus, and others. Ahsoka had trained Galen to use 2 lightsabers, which he had found 2 crystals for on one of their first missions to Ilum. From there, he learned the reverse grip, just like his master Ahsoka. The 2 of them were not Jedi, rather just warriors who wielded the Force and served the light side. Ahsoka knew what the darkness could do. She felt it during the Clone Wars versus Ventress, Dooku, Barriss, and she saw it kill her master and turn him into a machine. So her and Galen served the light side as it was better for the galaxy and better for them. Though she served the light, she could no longer completely ignore the dark. After all, how could she with her apprentice? Galen was strong, but the pull to the dark side was always there for him. In many ways, it was like she was training Anakin. He always had that darkness to him, though the light always prevailed. Well, until the end. Without Anakin's guidance, Ahsoka may have been lost training Galen, or may have even lost him to the darkness. It was because of Anakin's training in the Clone Wars that Ahsoka could succeed with Galen. But training him, it was not easy. She knew now not to be too rigid. She knew to let Galen experiment with the Force, to let him try extravagant things and fail, to let him understand his own power. And now, after 15 years, Ahsoka had only gotten stronger, but her apprentice had reached about the same level. And after their training session on this day, Ahsoka received a message on the secret comlink that she used to stay in contact with Bail Organa as he helped to grow a rebel alliance. Bail needed help, as the Empire had discovered a rebel base on Dantooine, and needed help as they evacuated. Ahsoka told Bail that they would be there soon, and signed off using her and Galen's codename, Fulcrum and Starkiller. Darth Vader stood in his Star Destroyer, looking down on Dantooine. He had just launched a squadron of TIE fighters to escort an Imperial transport of stormtroopers down to the surface. This was not the type of mission that Vader had expected to go on. He'd been training in the dark side, hunting Jedi for the last 15 years, trying to hunt down his former apprentice. But today, the Emperor had instructed him to lead this mission to wipe out the rebel insurgents on Dantooine. It wasn't a crucial target, rather a small rebel cell, but the Emperor had insisted. He told Vader that this mission would be a great test, and Vader knew better than to question the Emperor, known only to him as Darth Sidious. So after launching the first wave of troopers, Vader got into his shuttle and made his way down to the rebel base. Ahsoka Tano and Galen Merrick emerged from hyperspace and immediately felt a presence they hadn't felt since Kashyyyk 15 years ago. The man they now knew to be called Darth Vader, the man who killed Ahsoka's master and killed Galen's father. He was here. Vader landed on the base and walked out of his shuttle to immediate blaster fire. He deflected it back at the rebels, using the Force to hurl objects at rebel turrets and making his way through them with ease. Great test, Vader thought. This was easier than those separatists on Mustafar all those years ago. Vader continued through the rebels, getting to the entrance where rebels were hurrying into transports to evacuate. Vader recognized one of the rebels to be a known thorn in the side of the Empire, Cassian Andor, and as Vader was about to move on them, he felt a familiar presence. Vader looked up to the sky to see 4 lightsabers descending upon him. 2 for both of these Jedi, AHSOKA and her apprentice. Once again, the Emperor was right, Vader thought as the Jedi landed. AHSOKA and Galen landed in front of Vader after leaping from their ship. Their meeting would come at last, and would allow the rebel transports to attempt an escape. 2 white sabers ignited in Ahsoka's hands, and 2 blue ones in Galen's hands. They stared at Vader, both of them with immense emotional connections. "Ahsoka, our meeting comes at last. The Emperor foretold this day would come. Long overdue after you ran on Kashyyyk. And you have an apprentice," Vader said. "You killed my father," Galen yelled, and Vader replied saying, "I've killed a great many fathers. You'll have to be more specific." Ahsoka couldn't think of anything to say except, "I felt Anakin on Kashyyyk. I know you think you've killed him, but he's still there. I know it." As much as Ahsoka wanted to push it all down, a part of her always would want Anakin to come back. Vader looked at her and said, "Yes, Anakin may not be dead. He has but one connection remaining in this galaxy. You. And once I kill you, what's left of Anakin will die." And he looked back to Galen saying, "Kashyyyk. She found you on Kashyyyk. I felt your presence in the Force. You are strong. Perhaps you will pose more of a challenge than your pathetic father." Ahsoka knew now that Vader for sure had to die to save Anakin. So together, she and Galen charged. Ahsoka leaps into action, darting around Vader with swift movements, attempting to exploit any weaknesses in his defense. Galen, tapping into both the light and dark side of the Force, trying to stay in the light while avenging his father, charges forward to engage in a direct confrontation with the Dark Lord. The clash of lightsabers sends sparks flying, illuminating the dusk sky of Dantooine. Each strike, each parry, resonates with the echoes of the past, as Darth Vader's brutal efficiency meets Galen's raw power and Ahsoka's agile finesse. Despite their determination, Vader proves to be as strong as the warriors feared, using the full extent of his mastery of the Force to repel them back. But Galen, driven by his desire to avenge his father, rid the galaxy of this parasite, unleashes bursts of telekinetic energy, hurling debris, hurling rocks at Vader, forcing him to take a step back. Ahsoka's dual-wielding technique becomes a dance of fluid movements, creating openings in Vader's defense now that Galen capitalizes on, launching a furious assault. But however, Vader's dark side prowess allows him to sustain the entire onslaught as he counters with waves of Force energy, pushing Galen and Ahsoka back, testing their limits. As Ahsoka gains the upper hand, she can sense the anger, the darkness growing in Galen. She was so focused on this battle, she forgot to make sure her apprentice was okay with this. Vader clearly sensed it too, telling him what Dooku told Anakin years ago. "You have hatred, you have anger, but you don't use them. They make you stronger, and it's the only way you can defeat me, by tapping into them." And so Galen did just that. He tapped into his raw emotions, unleashing a torrent of lightning from his hands. Ahsoka, concerned for his apprentice's well-being, ran over to him, but as she got close, a blast of Force energy threw Ahsoka backwards. She ran into Galen. He'd lost control, repelling her back. The lightning was seemingly destroying Vader from the inside out. His breathing was raspy. He was on one knee, but Galen could not sustain the dark side power. He had to let go of the lightning now, completely exhausted, and Ahsoka slowly got back up from the Force blast from Galen. Galen and Vader both slowly got up as well. Vader looked to Galen and said, "Perhaps you are in need of a new master, one that can show you the dark side of the Force, and only together can we defeat the Emperor." All 3 of them ignited their lightsabers again, and Galen said, "I'll never join you." But Ahsoka could feel his conflict. This had to end quickly. The 3 warriors engaged in a duel again, Vader still having immense speed to block 4 lightsabers, despite the limitations of his suit. But he was weakened, and the combined might of Ahsoka and Galen would beat him. In a final move, Galen sacrificed his focus to create an opening, allowing Ahsoka to break free and gain the advantage. She tapped into the Force, amplifying her strength, and with a fierce cry, Ahsoka delivered a precise strike, severing Vader's mechanical arm, and finally pushing him back with the Force. As Darth Vader staggers, falling to the ground, his black armor scorched and damaged, Galen sensed an opportunity to end him. But he didn't kill him. For some reason, he couldn't do it. He unleashed a powerful blast of Force energy though, hurling Vader further away, incapacitating him on the ground. Galen and Ahsoka stood victorious, breathing heavily from their intense battle. They went to move on Vader, to kill him now. When a barrage of cannon laser fire came down on them, the rebel transports had escaped, and now the Imperial fighters had returned to get Vader. As the two tried to block the blaster fire, they took down a TIE fighter, but they watched Vader float into the air, landing on the ramp of a shuttle. Galen grabbed a hold of the shuttle with the Force, the same way Vader did on Kashyyyk, but the TIE fire distracted him as it escaped. Ahsoka and Galen put away their lightsabers as the TIE fighters followed Vader's shuttle. They lost him. Galen knew that he had a chance to put his lightsaber right through the control panel of Vader's chest, and they lost him. He was angry with himself, and he walked over to the severed arm of Vader. But Galen and Ahsoka noticed something strange about it, like something was hidden inside, and they messed with it for a moment before a hologram of a map appeared. It was a map to a space station, one the likes of which the two had never seen before. That was where Vader was headed, and that is where the Emperor would be. That is where part 1 is going to end as well. Part 2 tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed part 1. I really like diving into the relationship between Ahsoka and Vader here, and Galen, Ahsoka, Galen, Vader. Galen, of course, is Starkiller, him fighting with the darkness. I think this was fun. I really enjoyed it. I want to know what you thought as well. Her escaping Kashyyyk with him after hunting him down. I thought that was a fun touch. So, let me know what you thought. And yeah, part 2 tomorrow. I'm on vacation, so releasing these just to keep up the upload schedule, you know? Figured I'd write a really long one, and I'm having fun doing it. So, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Make sure to comment, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.